Today I'm going to be presenting on the inflation rate and economic recovery in Belize. Table of content. We have the introduction, the objectives, the measurement that could be taken to reduce the rate of inflation in Belize, um, two effects of inflation on the Belizean economy, fiscal and monetary policies be used to combat the effects of inflation, lastly the current conditions in Belize, and finally the bibliography. Introduction. In economics, inflation is defined as a gradual increase in the price of goods and services in a given economy. Um, when the general prices level rises, each unit of currency buys less products and services. As a result, inflation equals a loss of money purchasing power. Inflation is distinguished from deflation, which happens when money purchasing power rises but prices fall. Um, Objectives: to give measurements that could be taken to reduce the rate of inflation Belize, to give two effects of inflation on the Belizean economy, to show how fiscal and monetary policies be used to combat the effects of inflation, and finally to discuss the current conditions in Belize. Measures that could be taken to reduce the rate of inflation in Belize. While the Belizean government could use monetary policies, a contractionary monetary policy is a popular method of reducing inflation. A contractionary policy's purpose is to reduce an economic's money supply through lowering bond prices and rising interest rates. Um, this helps to curb spending because when money is scarce, those who have it prefer to keep it and save it rather than spend it. It also means that there is less financing available, which might lead to spending cuts. During the time of inflation, cutting spending is vital since it helps to slow down economic growth, and as a result, the prices of inflation fall. Measurements that could be taken to reduce in the inflation in Belize. Well, another one that the government could use is federal funds rate. A contractionary policy be implemented using three major tools. The first is for central banks to rise interest rates. In the United States, this is the Federal Reserve. The Fed fund rates the rates at which banks borrow money from the government, but they must lend it out at a higher rate in order to make any money. When the Federal Reserve raises its interest, banks have little choice but to raise their own rates. When banks raise interest rates, fewer people want to borrow money since it is more expensive to do so. While the money is accruing at a higher rate of interest, as a result, spending falls, prices fall, and inflation slows. Two effects on inflation on the Belizean economy. Well, I have an example. The inflation rate for consumer prices in Belize moved over the past 36 years between negative 1.1% and 11.2%. For 2017, an inflation rate of 1.2% was calculated. Overall, the prices increase was 165.57%. An item that cost $100 in 1981 was changed to $265.57 in the beginning of 2018. Another one would be the increases in oil prices. While this is expected to rise inflation and slow economic growth, oil prices have a direct impact on the prices of goods created with gasoline products in terms of inflation. Increasing oil prices can cause a negative impact on the supply of other items by raising the expense of production. How fiscal and monetary policies be used to combat the effects of inflation? Well, the government can fight inflation by imposing wages and price limits, but this can lead to a downturn and job losses. Government can also use a tight fiscal policy to combat inflation by limiting the money supply in an economy by raising interest and lowering bond prices. Um, Lastly, the current condition in Belize. Well, COVID-19 has caused Belize the biggest contraction in decades due to the significant decrease in tourism, manufacturing, and distribution, as well as a previously forecast decline in agriculture. The economy was expected to contract by 15.5%. Many industries had to increase prices on their goods and services, leading to inflation. The one last one would be the closing of borders. It made it more difficult for Belizeans to purchase goods or services, causing prices to increase in Belize. This made an inflation in Belize because people can't go to foreign places and purchase goods from there. Like right here, the gasoline is expensive to purchase. And in, let's say, like in Mexico, it is less cheaper, and Belizeans prefer to go foreign and buy their goods because they save a little more than they do in right here in Belize. And finally, this is my reference. And that was it. Thank you for your attention.